gray in your hair, that'll do it to you. And then you got high schoolers, which truthfully, they're young adults, right? And they kind of scare you anyway, because you don't know what's gonna come out of their mouth, right? But who better to teach than a generation of teachers who have already been exposed to it, and we're losing that. And it doesn't mean that we have to stop the fight. One of the things we did this year is we testified in favor, and we've done it for the last 2 years since I've been in my position, testified in favor of increasing teacher pay. Not just for beginning teachers, but for every teacher.
It's true.
You have teachers who have masters, who have specialists degrees, who are not being compensated to the degree they should. And I always say this, and what is unique about teachers is, teachers will also say this, I might have not got the salary, but I want the new kids coming in to get what I should have gotten. Where you guys have a benefit is a retirement system that is phenomenal. And I will tell you, that is the biggest concern I have in the next 5-10 years, is will that retirement system still be as good as it is today? You are one of the few plans in the nation that offers a COLA, a cost of living adjustment. We have a St. Louis and Kansas City PSRS, and I'm turning my back to you.
Oh,
I
you're
apologize.
fine, you're fine.
So we have a Kansas City and St. Louis PSRS system. One of them has not gotten a COLA since 2006. So who has retired since 2006? Anyone? Could you imagine the amount that you retired on never increasing for the rest of your life? Why we always preached, when I was over at PSRs, we always said we have the #1 retirement system in the nation, and the reason why we do is that COLA. Most expensive part of that plan is the COLA. It costs about 12% of the total plan to pay for it. But because of that, it makes sure that you stay up with inflation, and that is vitally important. Are any of you COLA capped? Have you been retired more than maybe 30 years? Not yet. Close. So PSRS has an automatic COLA cap after 80%. You can earn up to 80% of your initial benefit before you get COLA capped. One of the things MRTA did legislatively this year was introduce a bill with Senator Black that will address that COLA cap, because we are very concerned that as people age, that they're gonna hit that COLA cap sooner. So let me tell you a little bit about PSRS first, if you don't mind. PSRS, good position right now. Is anyone a retiree from St. Louis or Kansas City? That makes it easier. Then I don't have to talk about all three, I can just talk about one. This is a spreadsheet on PSRS peers. It was established to make sure that when a teacher retires, that they have a phenomenal retirement income, so that they have peace of mind in retirement. My old boss, Steve Yoakum, used to say this all the time. Let us take the worry out of it. You're gonna give us the best years of your life, from 21 until 51, and we will let you live for the rest of your life where you don't have to worry about what's coming in. That's the value of PSRs. It is rated 44th in the nation as far as size of plan, 90th in the world. Has over $56 billion in assets. To put that in perspective, you would have to fill up semi-trucks with $100. You'd have to fill up, I think it was 25 semi-trucks with $100 to even get $55 billion in assets. That's how much that is. So when you ask why legislators are so interested in this retirement plan, there are 55 billion, 56 billion reasons why they're interested in that retirement plan. And no, they do not have a safe in the basement. It is all invested. I get that question a lot. How big is the safe in the basement of the building? We do not have a safe in the building. We are very high tech. Everything is in a bank and secure. So you don't have to worry about it. That plan, to put it in perspective, it's a defined benefit plan, not a defined contribution plan. There are two separate types of plans. One, you have a set amount of money in that plan. That's a defined contribution plan. And you have to decide how you plan on living on that plan. To put this in perspective, I go to a financial advisor today and I say, I need to save enough to retire. How much should I save? And they will say, you need to save about $1.5 million, 10% have adequate income when you retire. But also they'll ask, the number one question they ask is, how long do you think that you'll live? Right? Now, 90 and strong almost, right? I'm hoping to get there. How long do you anticipate living? With a defined benefit plan like PSRs and peers, you don't have to worry about that. It is there for your lifetime. You will not run out of funds. Most of our teachers, when they retire, they have in a fund, this is part of the $56 billion, they put away $1.5 million. We as a system don't like to say it, but most of our retirees are millionaires and they don't even know it. So when you ask, why should you belong to MRTA, you've got 1.5 million reasons why you should belong with MRTA. Because we are protecting that fund, and that is our soul, our biggest purpose, our core purpose is to make sure that remains financially stable and healthy. So, that's PSRs. The funding right here, you can read along, it's 85.9 and 87.3. It's in well-funded condition. A good retirement plan, a defined benefit plan that's in good condition is right around 80%. Anything over 80 is a good financially stable plan. We like that. We are hoping that that maintains. And some of our concerns are what is going to happen in the future to that plan. And our fight is to make sure that happens. We talk all the time on MRTA. I'm going to go to the summary sheet on MRTA so you can follow along. We talk about the ABCs, right? And ironically, I was sitting at my desk, which I do sometimes, and someone asked me why I should join. I think it might have actually been Katie when I first started. She said, why should I join MRTA? And I wrote down advocacy is number one, right? Advocacy is huge for us. The next thing I wrote on is community. Last year we volunteered over 800,000 hours to our local communities. And when we say our teachers are the heart of our local communities, we mean it. They give back after they retire. 800,000 hours given back by MRTA members back to local communities. Amounting to about $23 million in money if you were to put a money tag on it. And then I thought, well, what's the third thing? And I put benefits. And then when I had it, I had ACB, and I was like, well, this is a no-brainer, ABC, right? For teachers, we've got our advocacy. We're advocating for our pension system. This year, or actually last year, we started a strategic plan in which we realized we need to change a little bit. We will never stop advocating for our pension system, but if we don't start advocating for active teachers that are still in the classroom, we will by default harm our retirement plan. And so our advocacy not only is with our retirement plan, it will always be there, that's on our heart, that's our heartstrings, right? But also with our active teachers and our education professionals who are still in the classroom today and having to deal with stuff that we didn't really have to deal with back in the day. So again, A, advocacy. B is our benefits. Benefits of phone to action. Has everyone signed up for phone to action in this room? I hope you have. It's a nice little feature, and here's how it works. You sign up for it, and you can do this even if you're not an MRTA member. It's a benefit that we provide because we think strength in numbers. You sign up for it, and we send you a text message when there's a bill that either harms active teachers, retired teachers, or helps active teachers or retired teachers and education personnel. Because of that, it doesn't matter where you're at. Diane likes to go down to Texas. Right around this month, she goes down to Texas every year. She's out of the loop. Guess what? She still gets that call to action. She could be out on the beach walking Lizzie, and all of a sudden she gets it. She can pull her phone up and immediately respond and never miss a beat. I had a gentleman down in Region 12, down near the Boot Hill, who said, he stood up and he did an advertisement for me on call to action before I even got talking about it. He said, you know, I was fishing in Tennessee. You guys sent me a call to action, went right to my phone. Fish weren't biting, I took time, I answered the call to action. I got done, the fish hit the hook, I caught the fish, and I got to do both in a matter of 5 minutes. It was wonderful. Sign up for phone to action, it really does matter. Our elected officials will say all the time, I'm getting these, and I've had the calls. I've had calls that they say, I received 25 emails. It's the same email. I don't listen to those. Yes, you do. Or you wouldn't be calling me, right? There was a gentleman that introduced a bill when I first started at MRTA that would have had about a $71 million impact on that pension system. And I immediately called the joint committee to make sure I read the bill right, and I called the pension system to make sure how much it would impact them. And it was right before Summit, so it was 2 summits ago. Our summit's gonna be next week. It was right around this time. He had introduced the bill the last day bills could be introduced, which is always shady in my opinion, because why didn't you introduce it the first day so I had time to work on it? So I, as every time before the summit, our office in high demand, you know how it is before you have a major event. You got papers all over. I made the calls, I talked to Sarah, I drafted a call to action, we sent a call to action saying this bill needs to be defeated, it will cost the system money, and in de facto will harm every one of our retirees, especially if they're looking at a COLA. And guess what? On Monday, I had 3 calls from this gentleman who filed the bill. And he said, I don't mind, I'm getting the same email, and I don't understand. Did you not know I made a mistake when I filed the bill, and I filed it at the wrong statute? And I said, sir, I don't know what your mindset is. I read the bill, and it was gonna cost us money, and we aren't gonna put up with it. And he immediately said, can you call off your teachers? And that is strength in numbers. That is what we do. I have a story, I'm gonna say this just because it is one of the best stories I think that I can say on the call to action. 2010, I was pregnant. I'm taking you back down memory lane. I had almost just started with PSRS. And I had known your former executive director, Jim Kreider. I had worked with him when I was over at the Department of Insurance. And we had been working, and there was a plan to steal, and I'm gonna say steal, because they wanted to swipe the funds. Yes. And they wanted to move them over into a general fund that they could use for their own investments and whatnot. And so I had been working closely with MRTA on this. And we have to be very careful when we work for a government entity that we don't overstep our bounds on lobbying. And I told Jim what I had found. There was a bill that was introduced, same time frame. Again, shenanigans always happen right before they get done. You know how it is, right? Right before 3 o'clock, kids are gonna go crazy. If they're gonna go crazy, it's gonna be right before 3. So again, I get the call from Jim, and I'll never forget it. He said, I think I'm gonna probably do a call to action. Now, I had never heard of a call to action before that time, and I don't even think he did. I think he termed that. And I said, Jim, what is a call to action? And he goes, I'm gonna send a call to all my members that I have emails on, and I'm gonna tell them they need to vote against this, and they need to stop this bill. And I said, okay, didn't think anything about it. So think back to 2010, we still had pagers. No, we didn't. We had cell phones. We were still in cell phones, because pagers went by maybe in 2000. We had very limited access to the General Assembly in general, and most of us had dial-up. So imagine, at that time, I think we were about 15,000 strong as far as MRTA was strong. Can you imagine 15,000 people emailing the General Assembly and calling? MRTA was responsible for shutting down the entire internet, all web services. They had never been hit by something. I was rounding the corner on the first floor by the elevator. Like every good event, you always know where you were when it hit. And an elected official came out and said, what have we done to the retired teachers? Because they are upset. That is strength in numbers, and that is the value of MRTA. And that's what we are really pushing. So advocacy, we will always do pension advocacy. We're moving on to public education. Benefits is easy, and community is good as well. I want to say a couple more words about MRTA in general. We have 14 regions. We have around 108 units, like yours. There is value in coming together as a unit. There is value in you being engaged in this process. It helps you stay young. It helps you stay active. We want you to stay engaged. We want you to stay active. MRTA is so grateful. I am so grateful for everyone who answers a call to action. You make my job easier. You really do. We are coming up on an election cycle. One of the things MRTA is going to do is do a survey to all elected people who are running for office. We're going to ask them questions like charter schools, like vouchers, all of these issues that are coming up right now that are taking needed funds from our public schools and putting them into private schools or private entities. I will say this, look at your list. When the survey comes out, do due diligence. If someone is running for office in your area, get them on record today and ask them, do you support public schools? Not education, because everyone says they support education, but do you support our public schools? Because in Fulton, we're doing things right. In Callaway County, we are doing things right. And I will say, it's just like you mentioned earlier, come and walk our schools and tell us we're not, before you make judgments. We had an elected official last year who said in Boone County that there were furries. You know what a furry is?
Yes.
It's a lie. I'm gonna just say that. I see your confusion. It's people who say they identify as an animal, and there was a big stink that schools were putting out litter boxes, and kids were using them to go to the bathroom. It's a lie. I'm gonna tell you why it's a lie, and the easiest way to do it is this. How many kids carry cell phones? Okay, how many pictures have you seen of a litter box where a kid has used it in a school? None. It isn't happening, but what they're doing is trying to demonize public education to say, oh, this is happening. No, it's not. Our schools are doing what is good. We've got our legislative session. They are going on spring break right now. Thank goodness they're gone for a week. I'm so excited. I know that sounds bad, but when they get out of town, it's kind of like you guys on spring break, right? Or Christmas break. You love your kids, but you're ready to let them go for a little bit so you can revamp and recharge. We've got our summit that's coming on next week that we're going to do as well. We will hit the ground running. Stay tuned. Stay engaged. I know your emails, you might not want to answer them every day. We have one of our gentlemen who came up to me and he says, look, I only check email once a week. That is it. He's like, I don't have time to be on it. I'm golfing every day. I don't like being on it. And I said, let me sign you up for call to action. I said, that'll come in as a text and then you can answer right away. If you aren't signed up for call to action, if you are not receiving a text message from MRTA about bad bills, I would urge you right now to call Morgan. Tell her you talked to me. I told her to sign you up for call to action. She will do it. It's easier that way if she signs you up for it. Super simple if you haven't. We are at an apex in our political environment. There were over 2,300 bills introduced this year. We've got about 400, almost 400 of them that deal with education. We are watching what is going on and we are trying to make a difference, but I need MRTA members to help. We can't do it alone. Our Maureen Hacker is our president this year. Her theme is We Are Family. We are family. I am coming to you saying I need your help. This is going to be a tough political year. Next year is going to even be, I think, a little bit worse. Stay engaged. Thank you for being a member. And I've got 2 homework assignments because I like giving homework. I think it's important to do. I need you to reach out to an active teacher this week. What day is, no, next week. This week would be a little bit hard. It's Friday. I need you to reach out to an active teacher and I need you to tell them this. Thank you. Thank you for being a teacher. Thank you for teaching our kids. I try and say it every time I run into one of my son's teachers, because they do a phenomenal job and I don't think we're thanked enough. And we shouldn't have to be, but sometimes that makes a difference between a bad day and a great day. Mm-hmm. So reach out to them. And the other thing I'm going to ask you, and I don't know if you'll remember this, some of you might remember this, but there was a post about 2 years ago that was negative on Bartley schools, and I am a follower of Bartley schools because of Katie. It was about taking too many professional development days. It was after a snow day. Someone put a negative post out there, and I immediately responded because I was mad that day of something else that politically was happening. And I thought, you know what? Back off. So I wrote this post and I said, they said, why are they always off school? Teachers always are off. They're always off. They always are taking vacations. They're always on spring break. They're always on Christmas break. And Bartley had apparently a couple snow days, and then you had a professional development day almost right after. And so this post hit, and it hit me on the wrong day. You know when things hit you on the wrong day when you respond. So I fired back right away, and I said, I want my teachers to have professional development days. Yes, it's hard on me as a mom, but I want them to have that because they're learning about safety issues, they're learning about issues that are happening in the school, and they need that so they are at the high point, the pinnacle of what they need to know. And I said, don't you want your teachers to have this information? Question mark. And then I did what everyone does when you put a bad Facebook post. What do? You shut it down and you don't look at it for 4 hours. I did that, but here's what happened. The tone changed almost immediately. The tone went from them criticizing, because if I would have let that lay, it would have been how bad teachers are. Instead it was, I love my teacher. I love what they do. I am so supportive of my teachers. And it changed the whole narrative. Our active teachers can't do this, or at least it's hard for them to do. Our retired teachers can. So when you're on Facebook and you see someone slamming our teachers, defend them. They need that. So you have 2 homework assignments. One you might not be able to complete until I come back next year. The other one should be easy. Reach out to an active teacher. If you see Katie, if you will give her a hard time for me, I would appreciate it. Tell her I talked about her and I told her how bad she was. I did great. And then say it with a smile. But I want to thank you guys, and I'll answer any questions because I kind of hit you with a lot this morning. Yes, ma'am.
This summer, will you take a group to Washington, D.C. to talk to our
Weapon
representatives
GPO
there?
is great. Thank you. That is a great call. We normally do it in the fall.
Okay.
We do it after annual meeting because we have MRTA events that we're still doing in the summer. So in the fall, we always go. We always meet with our elected officials and talk about the importance of repealing Weapon GPO. Weapon GPO are 2 issues that really only impact the teacher side of things. And they are devastating for our teachers because our teachers don't pay into Social Security.
Excuse me, I have more than 44 quarters in Social Security and I still only get a third.
Amen.
And when I turn 67 and I go on my husband's, I still only get a third, even though he paid in full the entire time he worked.
Amen. And most of our teachers have some Social Security, but with your pension, you do not pay any Social Security on your pension when you're active. That's what I was referring to.
I know, but I mean, there's a lot of us who had careers before we became teachers and we've been working after we.
And you work summer school, and you work during the summer and everything.
It galls me. See that Social Security money go out of my paycheck and I'm like, I don't ever get that back. I hate this.
I agree 100%. One of the things we changed this year when we went out to DC is we started bringing stories like yours. Because your story makes a difference. We used to talk on numbers. There are this many people, 77,000 people that are impacted in the state of Missouri alone by this Social Security issue. The cost that it is doing to them. And we talk about it every year. We talk about the numbers. And I've been there for 15 years and we've never seen. This year we met with Congressman Jason Smith, who's over finance, and the bill would go through his committee. And what we did this year is we changed tactics a little bit. We started doing is talking about personal stories. And so if you remember when we got done with our Washington DC trip, we asked everyone, we sent out a call to action, email, and we said, respond to this and let us know your story. Because a story makes a lot more impact than a number.
Glenn DeMar should know my story by heart.
And again, yes. And unfortunately, we need to get some movement on that. One of the things Jason Smith's office asked is, are we gonna bring people out if there's a bill that is moving? And I said, have you heard of MRTA? Because we will bring out as many people as you need to say this story. We've got a board member who is a great example of kind of your plight. She taught 30 years, 32 years. Husband worked 50 years in Social Security. Retired after 50 years. 2 years after he retired, he died. Do you know she was given the death benefit? I think it's $250 is what she was given. And that was it. She went from a 2-income household to a 1-income household. And that is not right. And what she brought, and what other people have brought up, is where, and I'm not opposed, But a divorced couple, that spouse is entitled to her spouse as if she's been married for 10 years to the first spouse. And she said, why is she giving deference over me, who was married for 56 years to my husband? And not that we're complaining about anyone, I don't have beef with people, I don't wanna take it away, but I'm saying, can you at least treat us the same? And that's where we're at. Thank you for clarifying that, because I don't want anyone who's divorced to get upset with me in any way, shape, or form. But that's what we're looking at. So those are the things, that's a big issue. We always go out in September. We will be doing calls to action. The biggest issue is we don't want anything negative to happen in Missouri at the same time as also getting our federal people engaged in this process. So you kind of see call to actions on weapon GPO intermingled with MRTA local statewide issues. We don't want you to not answer a call to action on a statewide issue because we want to make sure we protect what's at home first and foremost. So, yes ma'am.
Can you explain the bill that they just signed or something about the schools in the Senate? Just
Yes, it's an omnibus bill, and what they did was very,
yeah, I didn't quite. I mean, it was in the paper, but it seemed kind of not everything was there. Maybe I don't know.
Yes, so what they did is they took a bill, and the Senate was, the sponsor of the bill was Senator Koenig, who was a big advocate for school choice and voucher programs and that sort of thing. And he added, there's an education scholarship bill that allows students that are homeschooled the right to get some tax dollars from it. Yeah, you can qualify for this educational scholarship. They're called ESA, yeah, thank you. It is, what they have done with that bill though, is they took this bill and they put positive things for teachers, like teacher salary improvements in it. And then they also added this negative stuff that deal with tax credits for vouchers and for school choice. We are extremely concerned about this bill, right? Because if we testify against the bill, are they gonna say MRTA testified against teacher salary improvements and salary compensation?
Catch-22.
They literally have painted it so that there's something for everyone. I talked to an association member for an active association lobbyist yesterday. We were at a hearing and I said, what are you gonna do? And he said, I think we're gonna have to be quiet on this bill. Really? That's a hard road for me to be quiet on a bill like that. Now, can we say that we're for some of the provisions and against some? I think that's the better route to do, and that's what we'll probably end up doing. I'm gonna give you the analogy, because we had one of our elected officials who said, look, education's getting more money than they ever could expect, than they've ever gotten before, so why, these voucher bills, it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter right now because the state is flush with cash. So they can afford to pay whatever they need to pay, and it doesn't harm their coffers right now. But what happens when the tax revenue base goes down because they instituted all these tax? So there was a group out of St. Louis area who came up and she sent me a meme that she had gotten from Iowa, of all places, and I love it. She said, to kind of put it in perspective, how many people belong to, does Fulton have a country club?
Not
Okay,
anymore.
does anyone belong to the country club?
Used to.
Okay.
New Bloomfield.
New Bloomfield, oh, that's a good one too, I like that country club. But anyway, what it is saying is, how would the taxpayer feel if the country club said, we want some of your parks and rec dollars to fix up our fairways, but we're only gonna let certain people attend our country club, and we have guidelines. That's what they're doing with school vouchers, and that's what they're doing with a lot of these school choices. So those are issues that we don't like, right?
Yeah.
So when you get the pushback from an elected official, bring that up to them. Look, would you want your parks and rec dollars, your park money, your local city money to go to the country club? Should it? I don't think so. Should be available to everyone. I'm gonna talk about one more thing before I let you guys go, and then I really do have to run because I've got the summit on Monday. We've got 175 people coming into Columbia. So I gotta get back and get ready for it. This is a great little analogy that it's hard to see because the letters, and I don't see anyone wearing a heart shirt. So if you go through this, it tells a story. One, teaching is hard work. It isn't making widgets in a factory. It is dealing with kids who sometimes the only positive influence they will have in their life is the teacher in the classroom. That's number one. Number two, how many kids go to our schools? The first image, We have over 900,000 students that attend our public schools. The next one is the microscope. The microscope symbolizes this. We take every child, no matter what their needs are. We take the autism children, we take the special learning children, but we also take the gifted children. And we have to teach to all levels of education. It isn't just those who can afford it. And on the same token, you have our test scores are higher than the national average. Our graduation rates are higher than the national average. Those are all because of the people in this room today. Everything that you read is always pushed back on the quality of the teacher and the quality and experienced teacher in the classroom. When you have quality teachers in the classroom, you're gonna get better test scores. And we believe that about our public schools. And so again, teaching is hard work. This is a good little thing. If you've never used these are grippers. I love these. It's easy to open things. If you ever need anything or you have any questions, call the office. They will pass you over to me. I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys have if you think of them later on. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.